What I saw from Alex Eala wasn't just resilience. It was controlled survival at the highest level of the sport. Because here's the part casual viewers completely miss. This wasn't simply a 3-set grind against Katie McNally. It was a player making a split-second internal decision in the middle of a high-pressure match, push through the physical instability or protect her long-term health. And she chose to stay. That decision alone tells you exactly where her career mindset is right now. Before anyone jumps in with the usual argument that every player deals with minor niggles, this looked different. Go back to the early games of the second set, and you can see Eala hesitate on lateral movement, especially when she has to load off her left ankle. Her court coverage narrows, that explosive first step seems to disappear, and yet she continues constructing points with remarkable clarity. That disconnect between physical limitation and tactical awareness is elite-level compartmentalization. I was rewatching the tape and noticed something that genuinely stood out to me. At 3-2 in the second set, with the score at 30-30, there's a rally where Katie McNally drags Eala wide toward the backhand side. Normally, Eala uses that outside leg to push herself back into neutral positioning, but this time there's a half-second delay, just enough for McNally to step inside the court and take control of the point. That isn't necessarily a technical failure. It looked more like the body simply refusing to cooperate, and yet Eala doesn't panic. There's no obvious frustration, no reckless shot selection, and no sudden change in her composure. That level of emotional control is rare, especially at just 21 years old. And here's where we need to be brutally honest. Most players in that situation start forcing the issue. They over it. They try to shorten rallies recklessly, and they begin taking unnecessary risks because they no longer trust their movement. We've seen it countless times. Baseline aggression turns into desperation. Unforced errors start piling up, and suddenly the match slips away. But Alex Eala didn't fall into that trap. She adapted, stayed mentally composed, and continued competing with the tactical discipline of a player who understood that winning the battle wasn't only about moving perfectly. It was about finding another way to win. Instead, she recalibrated quietly, almost invisibly. You can see Eala adjusting her point construction not by chasing flashy winners, but by giving herself smarter margins, using slightly higher net clearance, and generating more controlled topspin to buy herself extra time without making the adjustment obvious. That isn't simply instinct. That's training, discipline, and years of repetition under pressure. Now, here's the part that really matters. After the match, when she said, "I'm okay. I think I survived that one," many people probably heard relief. I heard something else entirely. I heard a player who understood just how razor-thin the margin had become. Survived isn't a casual word choice. It's a competitor acknowledging that she had been operating right on the edge. And then she went even further, crediting Katie McNally and describing the match as one that could have gone either way. That wasn't just sportsmanship. It was an accurate assessment. When you're physically compromised, every rally becomes a probability game. You're no longer completely dictating the action. You're negotiating with your own body while trying to outthink your opponent. If you're a tennis purist, you might not like this interpretation, but this is where modern tennis is heading. It isn't only about shot making anymore. It's about how effectively a player can function when the body isn't operating at 100%. The best players don't wait for perfect conditions. They adapt in chaos, physically and emotionally. And that's where Eala's story becomes even deeper, because she wasn't just dealing with an ankle issue. She was navigating something far more volatile: momentum, expectations, and identity. Listen carefully to what she said. "These 2 weeks have been incredible. So many extreme emotions." That wasn't a throwaway line. It sounded like a player feeling the enormous weight of a breakthrough moment, while simultaneously trying to remain grounded. I've seen this pattern before. A young player catches fire, crowd support surges, expectations skyrocket, and suddenly every match feels heavier than it should. Decision-making tightens, the arm can become a little rigid under pressure, and moments that once felt natural suddenly become difficult. That's where careers can either accelerate or stall. But what stands out about Alex Eala is that she appears aware of the process. Her statement, "I'm doing my best to power through and be professional," reflects self-regulation, someone actively managing her emotional bandwidth while refusing to let the moment overwhelm her. And then there's the crowd dynamic. This part is fascinating because Eala isn't simply playing matches right now. She's carrying an entire community with her. And every time she steps onto court, that support becomes another layer of pressure, motivation, and expectation. The Filipino support in Toronto was loud, emotional, and deeply invested. And instead of shrinking under that pressure, Alex Eala appeared to feed off it, but carefully. When she talked about a fan saying they wanted to be Filipino for the night, that wasn't just a cute anecdote. It was cultural resonance crossing boundaries. And when she connected that feeling to her own experience at a Bad Bunny concert, where she felt Puerto Rican for a night, she revealed something very few athletes are able to do: humanize the moment without losing competitive focus. That balance is incredibly difficult to maintain, because when emotions rise at high, decision-making can become clouded. Players start playing for the crowd instead of the scoreboard, chasing highlight shots, abandoning structure, and forcing moments that aren't there. But Eala didn't appear to cross that line. She stayed within herself, and that's why this victory matters far beyond the scoreline. This wasn't about dominance, perfect execution, or overwhelming her opponent from start to finish. It was about staying intact physically, mentally, and emotionally while everything around her was trying to pull her off balance. Now, let's address the skepticism I know is coming. It's just one match. No, that's surface-level thinking. What we're seeing is the beginning of a pattern. Emotional resilience, tactical discipline under stress, and a growing connection with the crowd that appears to be fueling rather than overwhelming her performance. That combination is dangerous, because once a player learns how to win without needing to feel perfect, they become incredibly difficult to beat. You can't easily disrupt them, and you can't simply rely on momentum swings to break their concentration, because they've already shown they can function through discomfort and adversity. That is exactly what Alex Eala just demonstrated. But I'm not going to pretend everything is perfect, because there is a legitimate concern moving forward. That ankle. Even if Eala says she's fine, and I believe she genuinely believes that, the physical toll of pushing through an issue like that can linger beneath the surface. It doesn't always reveal itself immediately. Sometimes it shows up 2 matches later, when the adrenaline has faded and the body starts demanding repayment. And that's why we're now watching 2 parallel storylines unfold at the same time. One is a rise of confidence, crowd support, and emotional momentum. The other is the equally important challenge of physical management. And if those 2 elements, emotional momentum and physical stability, fall out of sync, things can unravel much faster than most people realize. I've seen it happen countless times in professional tennis. A player catches fire, the crowd get behind them, the confidence starts building, and suddenly everything feels possible. The adrenaline takes over. The player begins believing they can push through anything, and the warning signs become easier to ignore. A small physical issue becomes something they convince themselves they can manage. A little fatigue becomes something they tell themselves will disappear. And before they know it, the level starts dropping. Not because their technique suddenly disappeared, not because their opponent suddenly became unbeatable, and certainly not because they forgot how to compete, but because the body simply stops giving them the response they need at the most important moments. That's why what happens next with Alex Eala matters so much. The question isn't simply whether she can continue winning matches. The bigger question is whether she can manage this moment intelligently. Does she control her schedule instead of chasing every possible opportunity? Does she adjust her training load when her body is asking for recovery? Does she give that ankle the attention it deserves rather than assuming adrenaline will solve everything? Does she understand that sometimes the most professional decision an athlete can make is not pushing harder, but knowing when to pull back? Those decisions may not create viral highlights. They may not generate huge reactions in the crowd, and they certainly aren't as exciting as hitting a winner down the line. But those are the decisions that could determine whether a breakthrough becomes a career trajectory or simply a memorable stretch of form. Because if Eala gets this part right, then we're no longer talking about a young player who simply had a good run. We're talking about the possibility of a sustained climb, the kind of progression where every tournament adds another layer of confidence, experience, and belief. And here's my call: 3 months from now, if Alex Eala maintains his emotional discipline and combines it with smart physical management, I don't think she's going to simply compete with higher-ranked players anymore. I think she's going to start dictating matches against them. And that distinction is enormous. Competing means surviving the opponent's best moments. Dictating means forcing the opponent to respond to you. It means controlling the rhythm, deciding when to accelerate, deciding when to absorb pressure, and understanding when a point needs patience rather than aggression. And I don't believe that progression necessarily has to come from raw power. It doesn't have to be about producing spectacular winners every few points or trying to overpower opponents from a first ball. In fact, the more dangerous version of Eala could be the one who becomes increasingly comfortable winning without everything looking spectacular. The player who can take the pace off when necessary, create higher percentage patterns, defend intelligently, change direction at the right moment, and remain emotionally stable when the match becomes uncomfortable. That kind of player is incredibly difficult to break down because there are fewer obvious weaknesses to attack. And ultimately, that comes back to one thing: composure under pressure. That is the foundation of real consistency. Talent can win you a match. Momentum can carry you through a tournament. Confidence can make you believe you belong. But composure is what allows you to reproduce that level again and again, especially when the circumstances aren't ideal. However, I'm not going to pretend there is no risk here, because there absolutely is. If Eala mismanages this moment, if the emotional highs become too extreme, if the expectations become too heavy, or if her body doesn't receive the recovery it needs, then we could be looking at a very different story. The danger isn't necessarily an immediate collapse. Sometimes it's much more subtle. The player keeps competing, keeps winning a few matches, but the physical freshness disappears. The movement becomes slightly less explosive. The decision-making becomes a fraction slower. The confidence begins depending too heavily on results. And suddenly what looked like a breakthrough becomes a plateau, or even a temporary dip. The rest of the tour is watching because they've seen this story before. They've watched young players catch momentum, produce a few stunning performances, connect with the crowd, and suddenly find themselves carrying expectations they never had to deal with before. Everyone starts asking what comes next. Every opponent wants to be the player who stops the run. Every tournament becomes another opportunity to prove that the previous result wasn't a fluke. Every close match becomes a test of whether the player has actually changed or simply enjoyed a temporary wave of confidence. But with Alex Eala, this feels slightly different. There is an awareness in the way she talks about these moments and in the way she handles difficult situations that you don't always see this early in a player's development. She appears to understand that the breakthrough itself is not the destination. The breakthrough creates a new problem. Now you have to learn how to live at that level. You have to learn how to deal with expectations, how to handle crowds, how to recover after emotionally draining matches, how to respond when opponents come after you with a different level of intensity, and how to maintain your identity when suddenly everyone knows your name. Eala knows she is entering that phase. She isn't hiding from it. She's navigating it. And that's why this match, this so-called battle, shouldn't be viewed as simply another win on a scoreboard. The score tells you who won. It doesn't necessarily tell you what the match revealed. And what this match revealed was a player learning how to function when conditions aren't perfect. It revealed a competitor who can experience physical discomfort without immediately losing tactical clarity. A young athlete who can feel the emotional intensity of a major moment without allowing that emotion to completely control her decisions. That is a signal, a very clear one. Alex Eala isn't just here to play matches anymore. She is learning how to endure them, and there is a massive difference between those two things. I went back one more time to the late stages of the third set, when everything should have started to unravel. Fatigue was accumulating. Physical instability was becoming more noticeable. The pressure was increasing, and the emotional weight of the match was reaching its highest point. There's a moment at 4-4, 15, all when Katie McNally sends a deep, heavy ball toward the backhand corner. And I want people to really watch Eala in that moment, because this is where the story becomes bigger than one shot. The footwork isn't perfectly clean. The base isn't completely stable. There isn't the same freedom of movement you would expect from a player operating at full physical capacity. And yet, instead of panicking, instead of forcing a desperate defensive slice, instead of taking a reckless swing simply to escape the rally, Eala holds the line. She keeps the swing compact. She controls the topspin. She gives herself just enough margin over the net to remain in exchange. She doesn't try to create something extraordinary. She simply refuses to give the point away. And that is the detail that fascinates me.